Joe, I've got a really great interview coming for you today with 3 members of the Nigerian Community Association Bradford. We've got Chief Wale, Kike and Reverend Shai. All 3 have held executive positions within the organisation. So very experienced. Should be a really great informative interview. Hope you'll enjoy. Thank you. Hello everyone, it's great to have you here.
Thanks for coming everyone.
First question, when was NCAB founded? Because I know you're quite an old community group. When was the group actually founded?
Yeah, I can take that. The NCAB was founded in 1991, and it was actually being inaugurated on the October 1st, 1991 at Bradford University. We had a grand party then. Why was NCAB, established? Well, NCAB, we started NCAB because myself and 2 other friends of mine, Mr. Dele Adekunle and Professor Kio Bob Manuel, excuse me, things that there are, we recognize that there are areas where the Nigerians are sort of lacking, the Nigerian student and the Nigerian in general who are living in West Yorkshire, in Bradford in particular. A lot of incidents happened before then. For example, one of us bought a BMW and he didn't know that coming from hot country, didn't know that in winter time you've got to put antifreeze in. And unfortunately for him, his BMW car engine knocked. And, then you have that, then you have things like Nigeria not knowing where to buy food, where to buy Nigerian-related food in Bradford. So all these are what we were thinking about. I took this to my friends and explained to them that we think, what do they think about us having a group, And apart from that, we also have situation where we found out that in the community itself, there are a lot of people are in need of, for example, immigration advice, for example, housing advice, and employment was a very big challenge to us then, because before you can get employed in this part of the world, part of the country, the people ask for your experience, and we haven't got any experience, even though we have engineers, we have doctors and also with us, but we haven't got the experience. So the idea then was that what we can do, we then have to think of what we can do to help ourselves. And the suggestion came then that, okay, if we have got this, if we have this Nigerian community, which we call NFS, Nigerian Friendship Society, then, that we should actually, appoint ourselves onto various positions in the community, so that when they now look for job, they can sort of tell them that they work with the Nigerian community. And it does work then, it does work, because we thank God, quite a lot of us get job then. And the immigration aspect also was very, very successful. Nearly all of us In fact, all of us, did regularize our visas and make sure that we are living in the country legally. Thank you very much for that one.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So it started a lot as a way to give information and advice to other Nigerians. Yeah, that sounds very practical. Founded in 91, so that's 30 years ago now. That's a long time to keep an organization together, and from what I understand, growing as well. How have you guys managed to do that?
Okay, Mr. Kike, did you want to take that? Or?
Well, we manage by reaching out to the other Nigerians. We manage to reach out to the students at the university, because we know that when they come, most of them, they only come for 1 year program, masters, and some might do PhD for 3 years. Hardly will you see anybody coming for their undergraduate. So we tend to liaise with them. We tend to have like a social gathering every now and then. And we ask people to invite their friends. When it was NFS, it was actually kind of, we were mixed. We have other African countries as well. French-speaking people, they were a part of us, even though they struggle with the English at that time. But they were there for the social gathering, and they were there to display their own food as well, because we encourage everybody to bring their own food, bring and share. And what we did also was we had a subscription where everybody is levied. And that time we used to pay only £10. We paid £10 a year for a long time. And there were not many of us, but we were able to pay the £10. And what we did when we have social gathering is we tend to cook the food at home. So we're not catering out. So in that way, we do save. And then most of the time we do fundraising event as well, like going to the seaside. If we have any money left from paying the coach and the driver, that goes back into our account. We have like independence celebration. When Nigeria got independence, then we'll have like a social gathering, because I think that's very popular. Everybody likes to have independence party every year. If you don't have it, they get disappointed. So we do it every year, and then we ask for gate fee, and we do the cooking at home. Like I said, we all share the cooking, and then we bring them to the venue. So then when we pay the venue, the bit of money that we've raised goes back into our account. Friendship was very important to us. And I think that's why majority of us, from when we established the association, we are still there, because we rely on friendship. And then our children also continue with the friendship. So we have different layers of friendship with the parents, then our children, and then it's coming down now to the grandchildren. When we bring them and they all play together, and some of them happens to go to the same school, or some of them happen to be in the same group for youth group. So yeah, that's how we kept everything going.
So the people come for the practical advice, but they stay for all the social gatherings and the like family support around. How did that change during COVID then? Because obviously you can't have a social gatherings. People, I'm guessing, were disappointed about not having an Independence Day party in person.
Yeah, I would say that was a challenge, global challenge, then national challenge, and now local challenge, and then coming to the nitty-gritty at our own associational level. know, it affected the frequency of our meetings and the mode of meeting. We had to restrict ourselves to meeting virtually. And the association rose very well to the occasion. And Reverend Kikerinle was very fantastic in that area. You know, she rose to the occasion and took the bull by the horn and would not allow our meeting to be jeopardized. So she ensured regularity. We had seminars to which we invited distinguished speakers in their chosen fields who spoke about Black lives, spoke about current issues, and also spoke about the challenges of the pandemic itself and how to advise ourselves on ways of overcoming it, you know, following the necessary protocols. And it was quite an interactive virtual meeting we had. I could remember up to 3 times, if not more than that. There was the social one up to 3 times. Then you had the general meeting about 2 or 3 times too. And then the interesting aspect was the icing on the cake. We had a virtual party.
Yeah, oh yeah, the Christmas, oh yes, yes.
Which the food was distributed, you know, in advance, and people were eating on the on the screen. You know?
Yeah.
And then there was time for dancing too. So it was quite a very interesting innovation, you know. So trying to make ourselves happy, managing the challenging situation. Maybe
Yes.
there for others to contribute. But kudos to the president, you know,
Oh yes.
the elderly and also the challenged families were well taken. I remember she knocked at my door, so I went downstairs, and there was there were packets of food items, you know, waiting to be collected, and this she did to every nook and corner where the members were scattered across the city. Quite commendable. I'm sure the chief will have something to say to that.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Thank you very much, Reverend. You know, yes, it is true that yeah, during the pandemic, I mean, the area I'm really, you know, I have to speak about was to do with food. To be honest, you know, the president always comes nearly every week, if not every day, you know, because you got food from other source from market and stuff like that. She drove all the way from where she is. That's like 7 miles to get to where I am. And she will come and deliver and give me and my wife food. And I heard that not only me, like the reference saying, rightfully said, you know, she goes to other elderly, you know, Nigerians and help all the, you know, the single parents as well to do their shopping and all that. You know, she has really worked very hard. She's the most hardworking president we've ever had.
Highly commendable.
Yeah, sounds like you handled the pandemic well. I know it was a very difficult time for a lot of people, but you guys got through it, which is always a good sign. Another thing you've done recently, which I'm really interested in, is the Nigerian Voices project, which for those that don't know is a book and a DVD. I've actually got the DVD here.
Yeah.
I've misplaced the book, but I have read it. Some really interesting stories in there. Definitely recommend buying it for anybody who's interested on some of the history of the Nigerian community in Bradford, which has been there quite a long time now, at least since the 1960s. I think even a few since the 1950s. How did you guys get that done. Filming a documentary, a 40-minute series of interviews, it can be quite challenging. I know from experience. How did you guys go about getting all that done and put together and the finished project published?
Right. I think that was done by, to begin with, it was made possible because my daughter was able to get us this funding to do the project. It is a project, and she won like nearly £42,000, for us to do that. So and she handled it very well, because we've got to be accountable to the funders. Well, it was just good. We found that we think that it was a very good thing to go through our people and and record our history in Bradford. I came to Bradford in 1978. And since then I've never left Bradford. I love it. I enjoy living there because I'm married here. I go to university. I go to college, from college to university. I actually went to Sheffield Hallam University, but I was at Bradford College here, now Bradford Community College. So it's and at the end of the project itself, we launched it, and the leader of Bradford Council was at the launch. So it was a very, very good one. So I think maybe Sister Kike may want to talk more about that. Where I've not covered.
Yeah, I think we had a workshop for the children and the elderly on a weekly basis, on a Saturday, to talk about their experience of coming to Bradford, because majority of them came for education and then they remain, and how they found the weather in the adopted country, coming from a very, very sunny country where we're all crying for rain to come and kind of cool the weather down, and then you come to a very, very cold country and the experience of snow and everything. So that went very well, and from there they were able to collate some information. But it was during that period also that some of our children were kind of talking about their experience in school during the workshop, about name calling. Some of them wanted to change their names from their African names to English name because they feel that they were being bullied in school. So that led to another area of work where then one of our members, I think she used to work for the youth community group in Bradford. So she was able to apply for funding, and we got funding of about £6,000. It was only the PS project from Leeds. I'm not sure whether it's Leeds Community Grant, but it's a company. I think they manufacture shampoo, hair shampoo.
Oh wow!
And,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Right.
I've seen that shampoo. Yeah.
Yeah. So they gave us 6,000, nearly £7,000. The work was only meant for 3 months period, and then to report back to them. But we spent that money for 6 months, if not even longer than 6 months, because we kind of, we were like pound stretcher. We kind of stretched the pound So the children can benefit, and we can say, yes, actually the money was well spent, and it was well spent, because we employ a youth worker, and then we had 3 of us that were just volunteers, and we go every Saturday. And I pick some of the children, I pick them up that live in my area. I pick them up, and some we hire taxis for them. We have a taxi driver among us, so we kind of gave him that duty. So he goes around and bring the other children. And then the other children also were able to recruit their friends that were not part of us, but they thought, oh, you need to come. This group is very nice. So they explain what their names means. They explain Nigeria, and they really enjoyed it. They were really, and then we have looked after children as well. We have looked after children that are Nigerians that were struggling with their identity. So we had about 3 or 4 of them in our midst. And that really greatly, that group helped them a lot in their in building their confidence. Yeah, so then I think we did our book and the DVD, and then the children all do some rapping song about Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian, I love Nigeria, respect Nigeria, something like that, with different lyrics. Yeah, we're very good.
Yeah, that's great. Giving them a sense of pride and where they come from. I think Nigerians do that better than any other country in Africa, having a sense of pride in themselves. Sometimes too much pride, I've heard other people complain, but that's their problem. So that's great to know that, yeah, the kids here are still getting that. So, and you've got the book and the DVD as well. And
does that continue? Does that continue now as well with kids today? There's still some projects like that.
We're looking. That's one of the things that the new president said we're going to do. We kind of looking to raise another set of funding, so we can help continue working with those children. It's amazing. When they first came, they were very shy. They were like gaze onto the floor. They hardly have eye contact. And then by the time we finish working with them, they
open up.
They were boisterous. They were, they were just kids. They did activities. They were not just only in the venue. We took them out to Geopark, and they did some climbing. They did some few activities.
What about the drumming?
Yeah, they did drumming.
Yes. Dancing, yes.
Dancing, yeah. And they did some
costume, wearing Nigerian costume.
Yeah, they did Christmas play. That was very good. One of the Muslim girls, she was the angel. So there was no restriction because they all just wanted to be part of it. Yeah, it was very good. And the shy ones really came out. There was a girl there that was so shy, and they were doing dance, and they were doing different dance. They did group dancing, they choreographed some dance with them, and then they did freestyle. And she stood beside me, and she was like, oh, shall I go for it? Shall I not go for it? Shall I go for it? Shall I not go for it? She was like that. And then all of a sudden she came onto the floor and she did a split. And everybody like kind of shout, and she won a prize. She won the prize for the best dancer.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's quite a show-stopping move. So yeah, they did a lot of social activities. Did you get them doing any educational activities? I know Nigerians, again, tend to do very well in education, take it very seriously.
Yes, so some of them did very well in their different schools. Even though there was no particular uh, one there were centers that tried to help. excuse me, tried to help students during vacations. You know, it was done like a charity sort of voluntary thing. Like I remember one of the churches, one of the local churches led by Nigerians, organized free tuition during the holiday for these children, just to brush them up in their academics. And it resulted in good, it brought forth good results. Excuse me. They did well in their studies. And I'm sure with the impetus continued. We see some of them outshining in their various schools. There was one particular student, not necessarily as a result of the direct input of the association, but it's an ongoing thing. The awareness and the intentional efforts at parental level, at societal level, to encourage the young ones. There was one student that came first in the whole of UK. He's a Nigerian resident in Bradford. Came first in the whole of UK science, and came third in the young literary debate at the key stage 3 level. We felt quite happy that some of them are making the mark, and more are still going to do so, based on the intentional effort of the incoming executive. So we are having great expectations in that area.
Also, we in addition to that, we did we have a guy among us, a school teacher, and I think he teaches maths. So we try to kind of organize if we could have, if parents will contribute, because obviously they'll have to hire a venue and maybe pay just maybe a thank you to the guy doing it. We try to promote it. I try to promote it during my time, to say, if it's just English and maths, which is one of the 2 key subjects, the government said everybody must pass. But some parents were not willing to take it up. But some taking the children to church, because they organize some in the church. And some actually, they go to Paul McGrath and the other places where they actually pay, which they pay a lot of money. And we say, well, instead of you going to Paul McGrath and the other organization organizing revision for children, why don't you bring them to NCAB and pay that money to the teacher? And they will, but they didn't pick it up. So I don't know, maybe we need to sell it again to them.
Yeah, because then the money stays in the community and not going to a private company.
That's right.
More affordable, yeah.
Yeah, it's more affordable.
Yeah. Just to chip in more on that, we do have experienced professionals, in various subjects who could be of tremendous help to those children. And I think it's the case of awareness and appreciation of what is available. So we still need to do more selling, as Reverend Nina said. Awareness and letting them know that they needn't go outside to seek for what is internally available within the community.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to look at as well in moving forward in that area is this problem of not having our own venue, our own building, or our own office. I think if we could have that, then at least we have a base which can then, which we can then use for our own activities. So we would not need to be going to pay or book and, venue and things like that.
Reverend Ashai mentioned that a Nigerian student from Bradford is topping the National League tables. It's very impressive because in general, on average, Bradford is the low standard in the National League table. So whatever you guys are doing inside the community, like you said, intentionally and with directed education efforts, I think that's something that if you had your own building would not only be great for the Nigerian community, but it could be great for a lot of other communities in Bradford to come and learn what you guys are doing right to produce some top students. So I think that'd be a fantastic idea and definitely something to develop in the future. Yeah, and we'll definitely try and help you with that.
Yeah, that would be good.
I think maybe, for Nigerians, I think, one of our core values is education. And I think we kind of drum it to our children as well. That's the way out. And they tend to listen and get it done. Because the other core value that we've got, it's not that maybe we're not listening to our children. Because I know this society is kind of different. What we tend to do, we tend to give the school a lot of support. So if school says to us, your child is done this, and we don't accept that kind of behavior, we will go to school and we will support school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in this country, another parent might say, no, I'm supporting my child, which is true. But at the end of the day, if school is saying this child has got this behavioral problem, we don't want to say to school, oh, no, you are just picking on my child. And I think because of that, our children tend to take it on board and they do well in school. Because like my child, I said to her, if I get any letter from school, I am supporting you. I'll be supporting school. And I'll ask them to dish out whatever punishment or sanction they feel is necessary for you. I said, but one thing I want you to do is that if you know something has happened in school, the minute you get home, you tell me. Then I know you're not hiding anything from me. And if you tell me and school then asks me to come to school and I go to school and I listen to school, then I'll be able to put some,
Yeah. The other thing is that if when you know that if the school's going to be deciding something, taking the side of your child and going against the people who are going to give your kid the grades might not be very beneficial. So if you show the teachers that you're listening to the teachers, so guys, I've done something for you, it's a good technique.
Because in Nigeria, if you go home or if your teacher get in touch with your parents, you'll be in trouble at home.
Yes, it's the other way around. It's actually counterproductive, if a parent or the guardian goes to antagonize the teacher who is trying to help with the life of the students. I've seen that happen quite a lot here. That the school authorities had to rise to the occasion to protect the interest of the teacher. I taught a little bit for 20 months when I first came before I went into work. And I was not directly affected. Nobody challenged me, but some teachers were challenged, which is not good.
Yeah, I've seen parents get lawyers to try to sue schools over things that they shouldn't bother trying to sue them over. Yeah.
No. Yeah. It's it can be, it can be a bit sometimes a bit funny as well, because some teachers are also they are racist, They're
Yeah,
not very
that's true.
they're not very good to these kids. I mean, when I first came in 1978, I keep hearing that if you are a black student or pupil in the school, that and you wanting to do well in engineering, or you want to become a doctor in future and stuff like that. I have heard that the teacher will actually tell you that, well, go and do sport.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Go and do sport so you can run and stuff like that. They try to dissuade them from, doing.
How do you get around? How did you manage to get around racist teachers then? Because obviously you can't agree with the teacher in that case, can you?
Yeah, with luckily, sorry, Reverend. Luckily for me, if I can just speak about my own, my own experience, we've been very lucky. I live in Shipley, so we've been very lucky. But having said that, there have been incidents where they telling, my children, they are mistress, and they're telling my boy that, you got a dog death on your face. Can you believe that? This is from young kids, going to say, this is in the elementary school, I have to go to the headmaster and, have a chat, have a word with him, and he promised me that they will stop, and they stop, So you have situations like that, but that is just, consider what other parents have gone through. That is nothing, absolutely nothing at all, So,
Yeah, experiences do differ, in my own case, because our children went to the sixth form, when they did their GCSE level in Nigeria before coming over here. So they didn't have much of that problem, and they were well received at the sixth form school or sixth form college, and treated like young adults, and so they got on well with the teachers. But at that time, I was the one that faced the problem, because I was facing antagonism from students, my own students in school.
oh dear.
So throwing rolled paper on my head when I was writing on the chalkboard. So,
oh dear me.
lots of nasty behaviors, and I did catch some of them and put them in detention. So using the school sanctions,
Yeah,
which are different than the sanctions you get in Nigeria.
It goes across both African and English students. So all of them behaved, irrationally, and you had to handle them, each case on its own merit, and deal with them accordingly. When you sanction them, you ask them to stay in extra hours, in detention. So of course, if you sanction the student, you have to supervise the detention anyway.
Lose.
And I found out that some colleagues, some white colleagues, will just let the children go scot-free. I said, no, I will follow the school procedure, and I will wait to supervise the detention. And then the children behaved better subsequently. And I found that quite rewarding for them, because whatever they failed to do, to sit down to do it during the extra 1 hour they stayed, it helped them at the end of the day, That is my experience in that area.
Yeah, I think you are quite right about saying that the behavior of the both white and and black children
It's the same.
School that is they're the same. They can be the same because one of our brother here who is a teacher lecturer in the at the college. You won't believe that it was a Nigerian guy, Nigerian student who was actually giving him headache, was giving him big headache, but anyway, at last God sort it out for them, so I don't even know how anything he does, this guy will, criticize him in front of everybody.
But is that because the Nigerian kid knows more than any of the other kids? So
I think so.
He's finding the flaws.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel sorry for the lecturer.
Yeah.
But anyway, later, they sort it out.
But if I will say this, on a general note, those students were in the extreme minority, like in a class of 20, 25 students, you could find only 2 or 3 that are odd, in the whole class, causing the disruptive behavior, and you still have to single them out and deal with the situation so that they wouldn't corrupt the other willing students.
So, yeah, this country can be.
Yeah, I remember one of my friend's son. He got a bit, I wouldn't say depressed, but he kind of didn't like to go to school anymore because they were doing history, British history, and they were talking about slavery. And he felt that every time they were talking about slavery, the teacher was kind of focusing on him. You want him in the class that the teacher will be looking at. So that made him feel very uncomfortable. And then he didn't want to go to school anymore, which was a very concern for me. And I had a chat with him. I said, don't look at that teacher, okay? Don't look at him. Whether, male or female. I said, don't look at the teacher. Just look at it that they're training you for the future. So don't let that bad behavior affect you. And the same thing I say to my daughter. I asked her, I said, when you did history in school and they were talking about slave trade, I said, how did it make you feel? She said, nothing. She said, nothing. So she's taking it from a different angle. And my friend's son. And then I said to my daughter, I said, listen, when you go to school, please, you're not there to go and have a standoff with the teacher or any of them. You're not there to think that you can have the last say because you're a child and the law will protect you. I said, you're there to learn because at the end of the day, if you do not learn, the teacher is still going to go home with their pay package.
Oh yeah.
Every month. I said, it's you that is missing out on education. I said, by the time then you wake up and you realize it might be too late, then you'll be doing a catch-up. And I'm glad she listened to me. The only thing that my daughter, 2 things I picked up in my, she told me one and I picked one up. We went to a parent evening and one of the teacher, the music teacher, you could see that she doesn't like I can say that she doesn't like my daughter. So I said to her, you don't have to do that subject. Is it music? You don't have to do music. You can do music another time. Don't want her to be stressing you out. So she didn't take music. But then what she told me was that when she did her A levels, the school teacher were encouraging one of the one of his friend, school friend, to go to Oxford. But she got a better result than him, that was being encouraged to go to Oxford, but they didn't encourage my daughter.
Yeah.
They didn't encourage her to say, oh yeah, you can go to Oxford, put your application into Oxford. But they were encouraging the other boy.
Boy.
Very good, go to Oxford, go to Oxford. So that was the thing she said to me, that it was
low
being
expectations.
racist.
Yeah, low expectations. Well, it might be good for if you didn't go to Oxford. I've got a very low opinion of Oxford and Cambridge and the elite universities in general. But I think you touched on something there, which definitely something I've experienced in this country, which is a general problem, is that non-Black people don't distinguish between different kinds of Black people. And the dominant identity they link to us is African Americans, which, not to denigrate African Americans, but it's a different experience and a different background than a lot of other Black people. You've talked about doing quite a lot of education efforts as NCAB. I think some more cultural efforts could be really great. Let people know what Nigerians are, what Nigeria is, because there's a lot of people in this country who don't know. And we'll see a Black person in their head, are just going to go African American or maybe Jamaican instead. And everybody's expecting to know some general difference between French people and German people. It'd be good if we also knew some difference between Nigerian people and Congolese people or South African people and Jamaican people and African Americans and various other groups. I think that'd be very useful for this country in general. Have you guys, you talked about the education efforts that you plan to expand. Are there any other plans you guys have got for the future?
Well, if I can just say, with the education, I haven't learned about this young Nigerian that really did well in science and things like that, and other subjects. I was just thinking that I think it will be good for us as a community to actually recognize that type of person, really.
Yes.
And also maybe look at how he can, help other Nigerian kids to achieve better grade like he is. I don't know, I don't know this.
No, I think what the first step for that, you cannot be a teacher for them per se. If we do a recognition, like maybe a small token, like an award.
Yes.
Recognizing the achievements at the community level, that will be like an inducement or enticement to other students to do so, to do similar things. So that might be a way out for the executive to do.
So we can draw him in.
Yeah, invite him with his parents, or maybe during the Christmas party, you could do this recognition, and then make it known to the community, to the other children, and then just commend him for what he has done.
Yeah. I think that is a good idea. Thank you very much.
You are actually invited to number 10 Downing Street.
Of course, now.
Yes. So they took a picture at 10 Downing Street.
I see.
Yeah. Because it's a big thing. It's a big thing what he has achieved,
So,
number one in the country, I guess you're going to be. It's a big achievement.
I think the future for Nigeria is we at the moment we're very concerned for our country, and that's one thing that we need to be discussing over here. How we're going to help the populace in Nigeria. I can't remember when it happened. Maybe I think it's about a year now when they have a demonstration in Nigeria.
Yeah, NCAB.
All the youths and the killing.
Against police brutality, yeah.
Yeah.
It's special actions.
Yeah. That needs to be addressed properly. And I think because nobody else is addressing it with Nigerian government, they think they can get away with so many things. And Nigeria, as you know, is a very complex country.
Oh yeah, very complex, yeah. Because
we have so many different tribes. Those different tribes could be a nation by themselves. But they put so many nations together. And they can't agree. And I don't know whether it was done experimentally by the colonial master, which if they did it experimentally is an awful thing to do to another human being. Because when my tribe, Yoruba tribe, when we're talking the other tribe, they say, oh, it's Yoruba people again. Or Yoruba people might say, oh, it's the other tribe again. You see what I mean? So there's no unity in Nigeria. They've tried it. They've tried it with different presidents to try and unify us, but it's not working. Yeah. And from what they're saying, and I think it's from history, for the British government to hand over power to the Northerners that don't value education. Now they're trying, but they're still 1,000 years behind the people from the South. And they are meant to be ruling us. And now we got the problem of, oh, we want to Islamize Nigeria, where they're killing Christians like as if they are animals, and nobody's talking. So those are the things that we in diaspora need to look into. At the end of the day, we still have our families are still there.
Do you guys think there's more unity in the Nigerian diaspora than there is in the Nigerian homeland? In NCAB, I've heard you guys have people from different tribes, Muslims, Christians working together.
Yeah, at the diaspora level, like within our community, we are united. We work as one. Yeah. We are very friendly. We help each other. We don't allow the ethnic differences from the home background or the home country to influence our decisions and our activities. It doesn't. It's unfortunate that it's a leadership problem that has, and the politicians have actually messed up things. So it's a leadership problem, and it's a case of misrule or mismanagement. Sorry to say at this forum, but that is the truth. That is the bitter truth, and it calls for a change. And the change is definitely overdue. We are optimistic that if correction is made at the foundational level in terms of getting it right in people management, the resources and the potential are enormous that can make Nigeria soar higher. The economic resources are abundant, but the management of those resources, as well as management of the human resources, which is the highest asset, will determine in a long way, how fast the nation can soar higher in terms of development. So Nigerians are making names for themselves in different fields globally, at different levels all over the world. you can talk of Nigerians in the U.S. cabinet. You can talk of Nigerians in the Canadian cabinet.
Yes.
And you can talk of Nigerians in UK politics at high level.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
But the problem is at home. It's a case of problem of mismanagement, which can be addressed, because it's not that it's a case of politicians, maneuvering things, in their own way, not thinking about the populace, which are also highly resourceful, highly determined, highly diligent, and highly resilient. So we need a change in that area. We need a change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in addition to that, I don't know if our friends knows this, but the Nigeria, the Nigeria itself was brought together by force by the British. Everybody knows that, even
the British don't know it anymore. The British have completely forgotten that.
Recently, even the British MP are now, speaking out about what went wrong in Nigeria, how they put us together by force, and a lot of, right now, because of all the insecurity in Nigeria, there's a lot of groups want to break away. It hasn't happened yet, but they working towards the Yoruba, the Igbo, the Middle Belt, the Delta. They want to break away.
And the root of this is forcing a country together of different groups.
In many ways, it's not a real country. It's not a cohesive country at all, and hasn't ever been really. It's never worked.
What they don't realize though is that we will probably do better if we work separately, looking after each other's business separately. And that we probably even work better that way than being as we are at the moment, because some people, some tribes are doing really well, whereas there's no future for the children of some other tribe, So we have quite a lot of university students, graduates who have no jobs in Nigeria, That is one of the big problems, because there's no plan from the government for them to look after them. They need to create jobs, create employment, create housing, create, everything, but they just not.
Taking it from there, Chief, if you permit, that was the genesis, that was the fundamental reason why the youth in last year raised objection, and they demonstrated against police brutality, and then also other aspects affecting the nation in terms of youth employment, in terms of security issues. So, but the situation was hijacked from them, and we saw what happened eventually at the climax of it, resulting in the loss of lives.
The shooting at Lucky Tollgate. Yeah.
Yes.
Something that really excites me that Kiki touched on, though, is using diaspora groups like NCAB as a model of good leadership and
working together. Yeah, working together.
Using that as an example that could be taken back to Nigerian homeland. I think that could be really fantastic if it could work. I know there's a lot of difficulties in that, but that's something I'd definitely like to see.
Yes.
We do, but I won't say that totally we don't have a pocket of it. Every now and then we do have pockets of this behavior. And what we do is that we try and kick it out. We try and say, when we're not having that. You know, we have a case of somebody will say, oh, why is a Yoruba person the president? And why is a Yoruba person be the vice president? And why is, you know what I mean? They try and divide. Oh, we want this tribe to be the, if this tribe is going to be the president, then another tribe should be the vice president, or another tribe should be the treasurer, another tribe should, it doesn't go like that in life. We said to them, if you want to be elected, then pull yourself forward, or ask somebody to pull you forward. But if it's only one tribe of people that put themselves forward, those are the tribes that we will elect.
So be it.
We're not doing it by quota. We're not doing it like that. Yeah, I've been very outspoken, and some other people as well, they've been very outspoken and addressing the issue. But what I find out is that when we don't address issues, then people get away with it. And then they do it again, and they do it again and again, because they tested it and nobody objected.
That's often the case, yeah. And good leadership's key for addressing that, isn't it? Like you said, stamp it out before it gets carried away. Right, thank you so much for the interview.
Been great learning about the society and the association.
Nigerian culture, and all the things you've done.
Let me chip in an interesting bit before we run. You see, where we are coming from, you know, foundationally, Nigeria is an assemblage of nationalities, and you have like you have in UK, Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and England. So you have similar groups in Nigeria, each one larger in size and population than each of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. And they would have, at independence in 1960, we had 4 regions like that. And we would have succeeded if those are allowed to continue. But things were, with military incursion, which is a plague to Africa. That is the genesis of our problem. So let's not end on political note, but we have talked a lot about the possibility of the diaspora management, effective management of the diaspora relationship, to be a role model for the situation at home. Well, we look forward to that, but the agitations are still very hot for this to happen at home.
Right.
Self-actualization. We don't know where it's going to end. The politicians are struggling, the agitators are struggling, and we are praying and hoping.
So we'll end with prayers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.